the most impulsive decision of her life, with no experience or training, driven only by blind will. She would hike more than 1,000 miles of the Pacific Crest Trail, from the Mojave Desert through California and Oregon to Washington State, and she would do it alone. Told with suspense and style, sparkling with warmth and humor, Wild powerfully captures the terrors and pleasures of one young woman forging ahead against all odds on a journey that maddened, strengthened, and ultimately healed her. This is her. This says damaged people are dangerous. They know they can survive. Our most basic instinct is not for survival, but for family. So, I brought this home and found out that I had read it. So this is the one that I will either pass on to somebody or I will put it back in our little library. But I did find the description or the blurb on my Goodreads. See, I read it in 2023 and I give it 4 stars, so I liked it. And once I read the description, I remembered it. It's really like very far-fetched, but it was like really entertaining. So this says, a rich, eccentric family, a time-honored tradition, or a lethal game of survival. One woman finds out what it really takes to join the 1% in this riveting psychological thriller from the New York Times best-selling author of Something in the Water, Mr. Nobody, and The Disappearing Act. Harry is a novelist on the brink of stardom. Edward, her husband-to-be, is seemingly perfect. In love and freshly engaged, their bliss is interrupted by the re-emergence of the Holbecks, Edward's eminent family. And the embodiment of American old money. For years, they've dominated headlines and pulled society's strings, and Edward left them all behind to forge his own path. But there are eyes and ears everywhere. It was only a matter of time before they were pulled back in. After all, even though he's long severed ties with his family, Edward is set to inherit it all. Harriet is drawn to the glamour and the sophistication of the Holbecks, who seem to welcome her with open arms. But everything changes when she meets Robert, the inescapably magnetic head of the family. At their first meeting, Robert slips Harry a cassette tape revealing a shocking confession, which sets the inevitable game in motion. What is it about Harry that made him give her the tape? A thing that has the power to destroy everything. As she ramps up her quest for the truth, she must endure the Holbeck's savage Christmas traditions, all while knowing that losing this game could be deadly. So, it's a good one. Again, very far-fetched in a lot of ways. If you have read, well, I'm pretty sure there's a movie that is like this. I don't know if it is like the same or not. If you know, feel free to drop it in the comments. But if you've read or watched the most recent, not the one that was just released, but the last season of the TV show You, it reminded me of like the end very, very pleased to find these books. All three of these in my little library. Typically, when I find something in the little library, I try to put it back when I'm done, or at least pass it on to somebody else. But I just love that concept. I have always loved libraries in general. Having access to books for everybody, I think is so important. I bring both of my kids to the libraries around us, both for books, and they just have like great activities for kids at ours, which is amazing. And they have story times. But I just love that it can bring communities together. It gives everybody the chance